What can you say just about the depth of pass catchers? Not just there's also increased depth at wide receiver. We haven't seen Daniel Jackson yet this year, but tight end targets, running back targets, just kind of the whole package that this offense can have.
It's been making this offense and this whole year leading up to the season like just a lot of fun to watch and fun to be within because there's a playmaker everywhere, from Chris to me, DJ when he gets back, D-Man, like all of us, Brevin, all of us, we can all go out there and make plays, get open, and be counted on. So it's just real fun to be a part of this offense right now. So.
Mike, PJ uses video clips of different games and different situations in college football and pros to make points about teaching there. What do those do for you guys, and does it make it a lot easier to learn that way?
Definitely. This is saying that like there's two ways to learn: the hard way and the easy way. And the hard way is you making a mistake yourself and having to learn from it, and the easy way, which is learning from somebody else's mistakes. So I think he does a good job in grabbing things from other games and showing us what not to do. And it's things that we pretty much already know, but he brings more examples of it, and it's just like it happens everywhere around college football. And I'm doing my best. He's being proactive, like doing his best to show us what not to do. So that time next time we get in that situation, we can execute.
You've been in the slot a lot more here this year than the past, and you talked about kind of being willing to do so. How have you seen that adjustment through a couple games?
I like it, honestly. I remember I talked about when I first got here, I was in the slot. That was like my main primary position, sitting behind Tyler Johnson, Clay Geary, and then Rashad Bateman also. So those were great guys to watch before me. And my next year, I ended up moving outside. And really, I feel like in the slot is the hardest position to know. And once you know that, everything else kind of meshes together because once you know that, literally everything else is just a lot easier. You got to be inside and knowing the outside stuff and also the inside. So moving back to the inside, it felt like a relief, kind of. Because on the outside, it was like something new. And I was just like, okay, let me get used to this. But F was something I was already used to. So when I got moved back in, I was just having fun with it, honestly. Felt back at home.
How does that work? How does the slot give you more knowledge of the full picture?
So in the slot, you have to know like more so of the coverage triangle. You gotta be more aware of coverages and all that. When you're out isolated by yourself, it's more you in the corner. And I mean, of course, on certain plays and different routes, then you have to know like if you gotta get in the zone and certain coverages, you gotta know where to be at or where the defender's gonna be at. But in the slot, you have to deal with that almost every time except for man coverage. So that's the biggest difference.
Michael, what is the game day experience like as a player? I mean, it seems like knowing PJ every minute from the minute you wake up to the minute kickoff is scripted because he's a planner. I mean, there's no way around it.
Oh, yeah.
What's that schedule like from a player's perspective, and what are your emotions like when you get up on game day?
Honestly, for me, game day, it depends. Like also how early, like the first week we had a late game on Thursday, so we kind of had all day to kind of just sit around and get ready and prepare for the game. So I like to be a little more loose up until like the upcoming hours before the game. So just for example, with that Thursday game, we woke up early in the morning, did our meetings, breakfast and all that, and then we kind of had like this 3 to 4 hour downtime window. And versus when we have an early game like Saturday, you would get up and get straight to it, go straight to the game. So depending on what time the game is, a lot of guys are more focused. Like right now, like as soon as we wake up, it's time to go. Or if we got some downtime, we can kind of relax, breathe a little, and then we have team dinner. So we'll go into team dinner, and that's literally where everybody just focuses in. It's just like, all right, we're about to do this. After team dinner, we watch our little hype video and then get on the bus and head over to the game or to the stadium. And then in the stadium, it's just more locked in and focused. I got a lot of emotions going through my mind, and I'm sure everybody else does too. Just anxiety and all that type of stuff builds up, and then game time is just like everything goes away, and it's like, we're here, let's do it. And then for me, I just feel like ultra focused at that time, and just super excited to go out there and do what I do.
Mike, you guys are playing another Power 5 conference team this week. Is it coming at a good time after you had the first 2 games?
I believe so. For us, we also talk about how we don't really look at the opponent more so than ourselves. Each week is a game against ourselves. We have to be better than we were the week before. And that doesn't mean being being a better player than last week, but executing our game plan better than we did the week before, because it's a whole different team, whole different players, staff, offense, schemes, all of that. So, but we try to focus, or we do focus on ourselves as much as we can, and we think that that'll take care of everything.
Time for 1 or 2 more for Michael.
Post game, Crab and Tanner talked about how annoying it was to see the bushwhacker during fall camp. What was your reaction when you saw that from the defense?
Yeah, it was funny. I wouldn't say it was annoying. I think it's kind of like a funny little joke. The dance is funny, Mariano and all those guys, Arnie, they came up with that stuff. So I think it's real cool and fun to have just something that the whole defense can, kind of joke around about. When everything is so serious and heated in the moment, you can just do something to just loosen up and relax yourself, and and it's also like a bonding moment at the same time. So it's real cool.
How difficult are those dog days in camp when you're going against the same colors and it's just such a grind?
Yeah, fall camp is definitely one thing that will test, your mental and physical toughness. A lot of guys, we all have stories of just we're in camp, it's like, man, do I even want to do this anymore? I got to do this for years and years to come. But just being around the team and all that, and Coach Fleck takes us out on different team events and bonding and all that, so he'll make sure our minds are right, and also being around the team and getting together, that'll keep us all sane and just you're going through it, I'm going through it, let's do it together.
Mike, what did it mean to you guys when Preston scored that touchdown?
Oh, man, I was so excited. As soon as they called the play, I'm like, oh, yeah, he's got to score. I'm talking to Trey Potts, and he was like, oh, yeah. So he gets it, and I seen there was just this big opening on the left side, and I was like, please make the cut, please make the cut. He made the cut, got in the end zone, and he had one person basically to just run through, and I was just like, oh, yeah, it's 6. It was so uplifting just to see somebody that overcame so much and to be back again when he didn't have to be, and for him to be able to go out there and get that enjoyment and that feeling, it felt great for me, and I'm sure all the rest of my teammates.
Okay. Thanks, Michael.
Good. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
What's going on, guys?
Questions for
See
Tyler?
Tyler, we saw a hype video from the New Mexico State game where you were given the speech, and you say something along the lines of, let it bleed out of you today.
Yeah.
Where did that speech come from, and what were you trying to get across?
I honestly don't know where the speech came from. I was honestly just hyped, excited to get the season started with my guys. So I was kind of off the cuff, and I just wanted to say something to get the guys ready to go out there.
PJ was on the radio show talking about you being Mr. Personality in the secondary. T-Time doesn't say very much. Howard's Mr. Steady, he called him. Wally's maybe a little bit more quiet. How do you feel like you try to lead back there?
Usually I just try to lead by example. That's just how I've always been. I've always been, a tone setter, someone that, likes to, show exactly how, we're going to do things, whether that's in practice, whether that's in games. So I always like to set the tone, just get guys started, get guys going. So I think that's where my leadership role has kind of changed this year, and, just setting the tone, setting the example for, other guys.
Tyler, PJ uses mistakes of others. He watches films with Texas Alabama game, or obviously some of the upsets that happen.
Right.
How does that help when you're watching another team make mistakes as opposed to your own.
For sure. You know, we talk about all the time, you know, the easiest way to learn something is from other people's mistakes, you know, rather than learning it from yourself. So we always talk about knowing how to win games, not just, you know, lose a game less, like you see a lot of times across the country. So we take, you know, all the lessons that we learn from other teams and how we can be better, you know, in certain situations, because, you know, it's a game of situations, and whoever can play the situations best in that moment is going to win the game. So we always try to take advantage of every single situation we're in, and, you know, learning from other teams is makes that easier, because you know what not to do and what you should do. So
Is there any particular game that you guys watched that stood out?
I mean, they all stand out, honestly. You know, you can take something from every single game you watch, and you can take something from our games even too, because, you know, we're not perfect either. So I think just, you know, taking everything you can and, you know, trying to culminate that into winning football is positive.
Tyler, kind of piggybacking off Andy's first question, just what is the game day experience like from a player's perspective? I mean, it seems like from the minute you wake up to kickoff, everything's scheduled. There's a plan in place, obviously, from Coach Fleck. Just from your perspective, what's that experience like, and what are the emotions like leading up to kickoff?
Like the experience here.
Yes.
I mean, it's awesome, man. You know, guys are locked in, ready to go. You know, on game day, it depends on what time you play, but you know, usually, you know, there's obviously the breakfast in the morning. You know, we have walkthrough, we have meeting time. You got time to yourself, but really, it's just, you know, getting yourself ready to go, ready to play. You know, like I said in the video, you know, whatever got you up ready to play, let it bleed out of you. So, you know, everybody has their own, you know, specific, you know, reasons for why they play this game, and, you know, that's really what we try to do, is focus on that.
What's it like just getting off the bus and seeing family and friends at the march?
It's awesome. I love that's one of my favorite parts of game day. You know, seeing my parents, both my parents, you know, they make the trip to, you know, almost every single game. So, you know, that's awesome.
You guys lead the country in fewest yards allowed. What do you think has kind of been clicking here for you guys defensively so far?
Just our connectivity, really, and, you know, our details. We got a lot of guys that are heavily invested into this season, into this program, into themselves. So, you know, we just had more investment, I think, than ever before. So the details are what's really coming out on game day, and, you know, that's what really makes a difference, especially on defense, is, you know, your details and, you know, your understanding of the game plan, your execution of the game plan. So once you can get that down and get that perfected, you can shut teams down.
Do you think that's a sustainable thing too? Then, as clearly competition level's going
For sure,
to step up here the next
because
year.
our standards going to keep going up. You know, we're not going to sit back and be like, okay, you know, we played great defense this week, you know, we're fine. You know what I mean? It's a different opponent. Every week's its own entity. So we try to, not try, but we make it an emphasis to not try to build off of last week, but to just uphold our standard for, you know, the next week.
How impressive was Howland's interception?
And that was the craziest pick. I told him, I was like, man, no offense to Tweez, I love Tweez, but I was like, man, that's the craziest pick I've ever seen live. I swear, that was crazy.
How much joy do you guys have in having others on the team have success? You know, I mean, you would have loved to have the pick too, but
Right.
to see a teammate make a play like that.
It's awesome, bro. And, you know, that's just, you know, a testament to the guys that we have on this team. You know, nobody's, you know, looking for the stats. Nobody's looking to be the superstar. We just want to win, and we want to play good defense, you know, especially on the defensive side. You know, we don't care who gets the stats, who gets the glory. We just want to play good defense.
What do you see from Colorado's offense?
You know, a lot of different formations. You know, they're really good at mixing up the formations, you know, maybe giving you a different visual and then coming back with the same play. They got a lot of great athletes, especially at the tight end position. Number 38 is a monster. So, you know, I'm excited for that challenge this week.
How does maybe the quarterback question mark over there affect how you guys prepare for them?
It doesn't affect anything. I mean, we're going to prepare for both guys. We're going to prepare for everything. So I don't think it affects anything.
We saw you in fall camp be pretty competitive and get in the face with Trey Potts during one moment. Obviously, it kind of boiled over at that moment, but how do you look at kind of the competitiveness that you want to have in camp, and kind of knowing that you're going against your own colors, but at the same time you want to be, you know, ultra competitive at the same time?
Right. You know, fall camp is all about competition, in my opinion, and I think, you know, this past fall camp was one of the most competitive fall camps that we've ever had, in terms of, you know, offense, defense wise, and, you know, sometimes that boils over to, you know, some emotions, and, you know, we've worked on, you know, being having emotion on the field, but not being emotional, and being stupid after the play. That's a learning experience that all players can learn from. But it was just all competition. There's no beef between me and Trey. That's my guy. I love him. But it's just competition, man. When you're going against the best, you gotta bring your best. So that's what we both do.
What do you think of the bushwhacker?
Love it. I love it, man. Honestly, the first time I ever heard of it was in the defensive meeting room. I had no idea about it, but once I seen it, I fell in love with it. Honestly, it was kind of a cool thing that the linebackers brought to their room, and then just kind of spread throughout the whole defense because we love to have fun out there.
Anything else for Tyler? Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a minute.
Thomas, you see the water in there?
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Thomas, we didn't talk with you last week. What was kind of the move you used to get your first sack, and then what is it nice? Is it just nice to just kind of have that checked off the box right away in the first game?
Yeah, going back to that, I think what was funny about that was coming out of the gate. You can see that just kind of the stumble initially,
Right.
and I had not really anticipated that from what the set was, but I think that just kind of led into a natural reaction from, okay, here I am, might as well hit bend and get underneath this if I can, and then see where it takes me. So it's nice to happen, and I think that goes with working with all the guys and just being a part of that group, and trusting what I've been working on for the past 2.5, 3 years.
We saw Strigow have one, later on in the game, and Rossi talked about how kind of fundamental it was and kind of what he did, the progression for it. What has kind of stood out about him as he's developed here?
Danny's done a really great job with just being himself, and then taking the defense in and doing his job. And when Coach Rossi talks about the progression from what he did, everything about that play from his job and his that standpoint from what he was supposed to do was down to the T was perfect. And I think that just kind of that one play shows just his personality and who he is, and what he his progression throughout being here. And I was really proud of him. I was really happy when that happened. Just to kind of see one of the guys that you've been working with too since I've been here, and that came here just 6 months after I switched to that position. It was awesome to see it. I was really happy for him.
What's your views on the bushwhacker?
Yeah, I think that's something we've kind of just taken as a defense and run with. Mariano and the linebackers kind of implemented that during fall camp. Most of the guys didn't really know where that was coming from. So we had the little video that showed WWE, just of all the stuff they've done before. But I think that mentality, and I know that the motion for that, it can be funny and goofy, and I think that's part of it. But I think the mentality that kind of comes with that is what we're hoping to embody as a defense too.
Yeah. What is that? What are you trying to embody?
Just kind of, I think that goes along with our knock. We talk about knocking, and I think that's just another branch of that, being physical, being mentally tough, having an edge to us. Being in that right state of mind that we're going to go out and we're going to do our job, and we're going to do it the best of our ability as physically as we can.
Thomas, I know it's only 2 games, but what's it like to be on the #1 defense in the country?
I wouldn't say I had really thought about that, or that had been a thought to my, anything I recently was thinking about. I know this defense can be really good. I know the past 2 games have been really good games for us. We have a lot to build off those games. I know sometimes it's hard to see with how the scores might come out, but we don't necessarily focus on the result of those games much as how the progress and the progress of those games and what went on. So sometimes we gotta sift away and look at the finer details of those games and work on what we need to fix. And I think being in the room with the guys and the coaching staff we have is phenomenal, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
You win a couple games by lopsided scores, like you said, and I think people in the media, we start to make projections like, wow, these guys are really good. Like, what's going to happen for the whole rest of the year? Like, we can know. How do you keep from doing that yourself? How do you kind of stay in the moment? I'm not sure. I know PJ help you stay there, but how do you stay there personally?
Yeah, I think Coach Flex message to us, and just kind of us individually as a defense, we've kind of naturally, and the way Coach Rossi gives it to us in terms of what our response should be for the next week, and then so forth, is just that each season is its own, or each week is its own season. You know, it's right now it's 0-0 for Colorado. When we were at New Mexico State, it was that week we're 0-0 the New Mexico State season. So, you know, each game is its own entity. One is not more important than the other. The next one is the most important one. So, whatever happened in the past is irrelevant, and we gotta learn from it and get on to the next one. You know, you go throughout each week and you reset the button and get a new game plan and learn it to the best of your ability, watch film, do all that stuff, and then you go out and play. And that's just kind of how we go through our process, and each week it's like that, and I think that helps us focus in on you know, this game and what it's worth, and not worry about what's coming up next, what happened in the past, what's down the road in however many weeks. So I think that's something that we as a defense kind of embody a lot too, with just being, this game's important, you got to focus on it, nothing else matters.
Does that mean you never peek ahead of the schedule?
I mean, obviously sometimes it's like, oh, I'm looking at these guys, and something comes up, oh, this team runs this too. Okay, so that's something to look for, you know it's going to happen. But in terms of just I'm watching film or whatever, like I'm, you know, Saturday after the games, you turn on football and you see the scores. That's probably the only time I ever see anything in terms of this team played this team and this was the outcome. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say pretty much the opponent for the week is the opponent for the week, and I'm not worried about anything else. And I don't think any of the other guys are either.
So what have you seen from the opponent this week? Obviously struggling on offense, Colorado.
I think these guys have the ability to be really good. They have a really solid O-line, and I think, you know, the quarterbacks have the ability to be very dynamic. We're just kind of going through our process like normal. You know, can't underestimate them. These guys play hard, and I playing against them last year, I thought a lot of the guys on that field played really hard. So I'm not worried or overthinking anything. Like, I'm going to go through my process like we normally do. You know, the game plan that Coach Rossi's given us is the game plan, and then we're going to execute that to the best of our ability.
When it comes to unrequired work, what does that entail?
Unrequired work is, to put it generally, is the stuff you do outside of the hours you have to be in, you know, for stuff. So like team meetings, you're there for practice, you're there for the lifts, and then when you're done with all that stuff, what are you doing that's related to football outside of that? So whether that's extra film you have to study, if you're going to get in and watch a game that your opponent's been playing, are you getting in to work on something that you need? Flexibility, do you need something, you know, if you're a DB or D lineman or linebacker, is there something in your game that you are struggling with and you need to, you know, work on? So that could be a lot of things. I think it's personal to each guy. I think it helps that the coaches are very open with us, and we have a great relationship with them. I think a lot of guys on the team can go and talk to them and, you know, say, hey, where do you see me? What do you think I'm deficient in? Is there something I need to work on? And I think, you know, having that relationship is the foundation for that next step in terms of what do I need to work on myself.
You guys shut out Colorado last year, and you had a good game personally as well in that one. What's that fine line between gaining confidence from that game, but also now, as you mentioned, having this one game week this week?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, I think it's a different game than it was last year, and, you know, from terms of, oh, they're similar in this or whatever you want to call it. It's a whole different team, whole different game. It's this year, and I just think it comes back again to 0-0 in the Colorado week, and we're getting a game plan from Coach Rossi. You know, and we need to master that game plan, watch film, do our process, and then on Saturday go out and execute.
Are there some things, though, that you can draw at least from that game last year to implement this week?
I think when you go back and look at that, you just kind of look at personnel, like who's back, who's not back, is anyone in different spots? Has anything really changed? I guess from their scheme, but as far as anything else goes, I don't think so. I think you look at that as just a whole new template, and then maybe you can pull from personnel, but I'd say that's about it.
Time for one or two more for Thomas, if anyone has it? No? Okay, thanks, Thomas.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
What do you feel like has been key with you just having poise and kind of understanding of the offense and kind of, I think you're the fourth, not to get into the stats, but have a very high PFF QB rating, kind of great completion percentage. What's been key to kind of your success to start these first
Oh
two games?
man, I think first and foremost I've failed a lot in my career.
Okay.
And so learning from those and not just, moving past them and not pulling what you can learn from it. So learning from the failings in my career has always allowed me to improve. And then I think, it's a huge testament, to our coaches, to Coach Soraka, communicating, coaching us all off season, into the game weeks. I think it just allows me to play calm, collected, and just understand where I'm going with the ball and, understand what we're wanting to accomplish on the play and, just go through my reads and make the throw and not press, not force anything, but take what's there. If it's not, move on and go to 2-3, start the second play, whatever it may be. But, coaches are putting us in a great position, and our guys are making plays too. So, that makes it a lot easier on my standpoint too. From my point of view is guys are making plays, they're getting open, playing fast, physical. And so, again, that makes the quarterback's job a lot easier too.
Is it pretty crazy to think that you're only 2 games in, but you're the number 1 offense in the country right now?
Again, we gotta continue to change our best. We legitimately, we don't think about that stuff. We got a lot of stuff to improve on. And going back to kind of what you were saying too, like, even when you look at our offensive line, we've had fantastic protection the first 2 weeks. So, again, that's a huge part of it, making things a lot easier to go through and. Having the time to get from 1 to 2 to 3 and just sit back there. And then, again, we got to get a lot better. We got to continue to work. And, complacency is a killer of success. And so we're not going to get complacent. We're going to continue to change our best on a daily basis. And we know there's some things that we got to clean up from last week and, got to protect the ball better. So we've been working on that past couple of days. So got to continue to work and get better.
You talked a couple weeks ago about with Kirk back here in the preparation in a given week and knowing what you're going to watch and knowing what's going to be installed. How does that kind of help you, just knowing that it's back to that, and what are the benefits from that routine?
Yeah, I think, when you get in a rhythm, it helps a lot. And, I think that's anything in life. But also there's going to be times where, things aren't going to be perfect. You're not going to know exactly what's going on. You need more time to digest something. But just having the communication of, hey, this is what we expect. We might get this and that, whatever it is. But just having that dialogue makes things a lot easier from the quarterback point of view when we're watching film on our own to understand more of, seeing it how Coach Soraka sees it, which allows us to kind of have that conversation on the field without even speaking, if that makes sense. Okay. Understanding, this call's here, and being ahead of it. It's a great feeling when he checks a play or something happens and you're already anticipating it. That always makes me kind of laugh. I think it's kind of fun.
You've had a lot of options to where to go with the ball so far. As a quarterback, how do you kind of think about that? Just think about possibilities as you get to the line of scrimmage. How much does that just kind of open up the playbook, open up the possibilities before you even take the snap when you've had so much success with different players already?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something I've been saying all offseason is we have a lot of playmakers, a lot of guys with abilities to go and do special things, to get open, to do special things when they get the ball in their hands. And again, that makes, opens up things a lot for us as an offense to be able to spread the ball around to different guys, not just throw it to one or two dudes, but you know, throw it to whoever's open in that specific play. And it doesn't matter if it's, you know, who's running the route, because we have confidence and trust that they're going to do their job to the best of their ability and get open and make a play. And I think that's, you know, a huge testament to how, you know, our guys have continued to get better and worked really hard in the off season and in training camp and these first 2 weeks of the season too.
House asked you on Saturday about the deep over routes
Yeah.
and kind of the intricacies with that one. What didn't quite click with Dalen's one in the first half?
Yeah, it was it wasn't necessarily a deep over.
Okay.
You know, it was more of a post and
Okay.
got flattened out a little bit. I think, you know, looking back on after the film, I could have thrown the ball out earlier and thrown it flatter, which would have made his job easier, so he wouldn't have had to jump up. But yeah, that's on me. You know, he ran the route fast with speed, and I just got to get it out earlier instead of holding it, and then that makes his job easier, and that's a chance at another explosive play.
Does that depend on, like, whoever your target is, how you might throw a ball to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it depends on the route. You know, on a timing route, you definitely got to understand who's running the route and kind of if they're a strider, if they're more of a stepper kind of guy. You know, Dalen's a long strider. You know, he can eat up ground fast. So, kind of similar to how Rashad was. Rashad's definitely a strider, kind of a runner. And so understanding that when you're anticipating a throw and throwing it into space makes things a lot easier. So knowing your personnel and who you're throwing it to and then what kind of route it is, definitely have to understand all of that kind of in practice. And then when you get in the game, you just got to throw the ball. You know, it's really that simple.
What did you see from Ethan cut a couple loose there on that touchdown drive?
Yeah, it was a great drive, man. He was really poised. He was calm. He went in there and executed the plays that were called. He was incredibly accurate, and it was fun to see him just go out there and play ball. You could tell he was loving to just be out there and playing. Yeah, it was really cool. And then, you know, again, he executed the system really well. Drove us down there, and then I think we scored twice when he was operating it with Preston's run, and then we had the, you know, RPO and then his quarterback sneak. So I think he did a fantastic job, and it was awesome to see him go in there and execute like that.
Tanner, as a veteran guy, what is the experience like as a player for game day? I mean, it seems like every minute, from the minute you wake up for, depending on the game time, to the minute you get on the field for kickoff, it's scripted. You know, there's a plan in place. Just what is that experience like as a player?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for, you know, first and foremost, what time you play. You have, you know, different routines based on if it's an 11 a.m. kick, 2:30, or, you know, 7:30 or 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. kick. But you know, really, once you get on the bus, the preparation, you know, continues to go. Kind of begin to lock in after the pregame meal, the team meeting, and just think about, you know, I already have visualized the game and all the assets, all the throws, all the plays that we have, and then just get that emotional fire even more going to where when you step off the bus, it's go time. And then you get to the stadium, you know, everybody has their different routines, and that's what's cool about football is, you know, my routine's different than Mo's, which is different than Crab's, different than Quinn Carroll's. You know, so that's the cool part is everybody knows what clicks for them and what they have to do to be at their best. You know, which makes it really cool. Like for me, being emotionally ready to play a football game, a huge part of that is like spending time with God that day, the night before, and understanding like how blessed I am to be in the situation to even play football, and then to do it as you know, at this university, and then you know, to be able to play. I mean, it's a huge blessing, and then just kind of, you know, that really grounds me, and that's a huge part of my emotional fire being lit. And but again, what's cool is it's different for everybody. You know, it might be some guys might listen to heavy metal, some guy like classical. Who knows? You know, I'm probably listening to something different than you know, Mo's listening to, for example. So I think that's what's super unique about football is everybody's routine to be at their best is different. But when kickoff comes, everybody's ready to go out there and play ball, and whatever they needed to do to be ready, it's go time. And that's what makes it really cool.
What do you see from the Colorado defense?
Yeah, I think, you know, they play, first and foremost, really hard and physical. and they have a lot of talent on their defense. That's for sure. They got guys that have played a lot of football, guys that have a lot of skill, and so for us, it's a challenge that we're excited to go against a fantastic defense, and something that we're looking forward to. But yeah, they play again really hard, really fast, and have a lot of talent and skill, and so we got to be at our best on Saturday for sure.
What did you feel like? So Mike was in here earlier talking about feeling more comfortable in the slot. Do you sense that that's maybe a better spot for him? And
Yeah, definitely. I definitely do. And again, he has the skill sets to really play anywhere. But I think his speed in the slot and just the route variability he can run from that alignment. He looks a lot more comfortable there. He's taken a lot of reps from that position, and obviously he's had a great start to the season, and he's only going to continue to get better throughout the year. And super excited for him, and excited to be able to throw him the football early.
Time for 1 or 2 more for Tanner.
Tanner, you guys watched the Texas-Alabama game. Coach Fleck said that you watched other games where teams have made mistakes. Is it easier to watch other teams' mistakes rather than your own?
Definitely, right? Okay, so there's 2 ways to learn: the easy way and the hard way.
Yeah.
And you can learn the easy way from others' mistakes, and that's also like when you're a player, right? Like if another quarterback makes a mistake, like, okay, let me learn from this, or if you're a left tackle, let me learn from the right tackle's mistake, so that I don't have to make the same mistake. But as a football team, it's the same thing. It's a lot easier to learn from other people's mistakes than your own, right? But you have to be able to learn from that and apply that, and that's what Coach Fleck does a great job, is pointing out those situations to us, and being able to learn from those so that we don't put ourselves in that situation. Because there's been a lot of times where we have, and that's really hard when you're in that situation, and you've lost games because of things that you control. Those are tough pills to swallow. So that's what we got to continue to learn from other people, learn from ourselves, learn from our teammates in practice and in the game, so that we can continue to change our best and get better.
When you're just watching a game, not necessarily film, you're just watching a game for enjoyment, NFL, college, whatever it is, are you able to separate yourself? Are you able to just watch, or are you analyzing it and watching it from a certain lens?
I think, I definitely watch it from a certain lens, but there's always that fan aspect when you're watching a game from TV, because it's cool to, stadium, all that. I mean, I've been watching football games my whole life, but I definitely, when I'm watching a game, and more like, the Monday Night Football game, like, okay, it's T4 situation, they got to drive. Ooh, what would I do if I was the coach here? Oh, I might have taken a timeout, or I might have done this. Whatever. I'm not saying, like, for an example of whatever. Like, I'm always putting myself in the situation of the coach or the quarterback. Like, okay, if that was me, man, I might have checked it down, or I might have done this. Or, like, oh, man, that was a great play. And that's what's cool, is you take those opportunities to learn from it. But it is enjoyment. Like, it's fun to watch football. But then it's fun to get your mind going and understand, like, oh man, I could have done, if I was in this situation, what would I have done? Or would I have thrown it away, or would I have, escaped the pocket, and, oh, what would happen if this and that? The kind of the if-then game is fun for me to do when I'm just on the couch watching football games.
If you were Russ, would you have wanted a shot at 4th and 5?
Man, I don't know. I think it goes down to, there's always a line to gain of where you feel comfortable with your kicker, right? And they obviously felt comfortable with their kicker. I mean, and that's what it all comes down to, is giving yourself the best chance to be successful in those situations. And, just barely missed it, and that story would have been completely different, right? So understanding that situation is cool. Because it was like a 64-yarder, right? Yeah. But the guy, like, was inches away from nailing it. So, some people might be like, oh, that was dumb or whatever. But, like, if they made it, they wouldn't have said that. You know what I mean? So it's always, like, cool to understand and watch it from my perspective, or, of what a coach does, what a player does. And, putting yourself in 4th and 5, you have a chance at both. If, like, okay, we feel good about the kick, what's our best 4th and 5 call? What do we feel is a higher probability? Yada, yada, yada. So I don't know. There's a lot of ifs and ends then, but they put themselves in a chance to do it, and it just didn't happen that one time. But who knows? The story could have been completely different, and that's what's cool about football, is there's a lot of story changers in a game, and it's not just one play, not just a kick, or not just an incomplete pass or an interception, but a lot of plays that could have changed the story of any single football game, which makes it fun.
Tanner,
We'll
you
do
were with.
last one here for Tanner.
Yep. You were with Coach Sanford for a couple years here. He's
Mhm.
obviously coming back this week. Are you gonna reach out to him? Are you gonna catch up with him, say hi, or just kind of see how it goes?
I
on
mean,
Saturday?
you know, just you know, we're focused on winning a football game on Saturday, like giving ourselves the best chance to win a game. And you know, I'm really appreciative of him. I think he's, you know, of the investment that he poured into me and a lot of people. And you know, I have no ill will or anything or any feeling like that towards him. And you know, so if the situation comes up, I definitely would you know, say hi to him. And you know, it's not like I'm gonna reach out and do all this and that, because we're focused on winning a football game. But you know, I am thankful for the lessons he taught me and all those things as well. So you know, those are things that I'm thankful for, definitely. So you know, but at the end of the day, we got to do what's best for us and give ourselves the best chance to win on Saturday, and that's what it's all about.
All right, thanks, Tanner.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.